Hey guys, it's Defoffilizer here. I do have a 10,000 subscriber special planned, but I'm going to put that off until next week because I felt that this needed to be said. Now, just to give you guys a bit of background, some of you who have been on my channel for a couple years know I've gone after game theory on multiple occasions. I've done a top 9 worst game theory videos, and I'm actually planning on doing another one later this year. Now, if you look back at those older videos, you would know that I wasn't exactly the nicest to Matpat. I was pretty freaking angry in those videos. Since then, I've really mellowed out on game theory. I found his stuff enjoyable, and I was pretty excited to debunk a lot of it. But then, this came out. This wasn't just stupid, this made me legitimately angry, and I just felt that I had to make a response to it, even though I typically don't do single video responses. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, allow me to get you up to speed. Matpat's most recent video, at least at the time of recording this, was his theory on WD Gaster, the first part of it. The theory itself is fine, I don't have a problem with it, although that is subject to change considering part 2 is yet to come out, but for right now, it's fine. That's not what I'm here to talk about. You see, at the beginning of the video, Matpat takes a 4-minute detour to talk about all the horrible experience he's had with the reception that his Undertale videos have gotten, and how he's scared to talk about the game. I'm not going to lie, at first I felt kind of bad for him, the raw emotion worked on me, but as I thought more about what he was saying and turned it over more and more in my mind, I didn't feel sorry for him at all. I was really friggin' angry. And we're going to be going over why right now. Because this segment is complete bullcrap that goes beyond what Matpat typically does. So let's get into it, shall we? The first part of this segment that really got on my nerves was when Matpat outright lies to the audience.
I've had literal petitions written to remove me from the internet for slandering Mario's name by calling him a sociopath.
I've seen that petition, I've read it multiple times, and I'll even provide a link to it in the description because I believe in citing my sources unlike Matpat. The whole admit Mario isn't mental petition, if you want to say it's stupid, go ahead, say it's stupid. Want to know why I'm okay with you saying this? Because you're right, it is stupid. It exaggerates the significance of the Mario is mental theory to a degree that I didn't even believe when I was at the height of my anger at Matpat. But at no point in that petition does it say to remove Matpat from the internet. It doesn't say anything close to that. That would be extreme and incredibly callous. All the petition says is to send evidence to you, Matpat, that Mario isn't mental and have you admit it in a video. That's all they're asking. To actually admit that you were wrong. Sure, there may very well be a petition to remove Matpat from the internet. But if there is, then why didn't he just show that instead of showing a petition that doesn't aim to do something like that? But going back to the petition's actual goal, it is pretty reasonable. Think about it. When is the last time you ever remember Matpat admitting to one of his mistakes? At least in terms of specifically game theory, I can only think of 2 times he's done this. Once was when he claimed that Wario was 10 feet tall, because let's face it, even Matpat has limits as to what he can claim and still have people think he's credible. And the other is with the FNAF is wrong theory, because let's face it, he would just have to go back and correct that anyway when he went to go make his FNAF 4 theory. But Mario's mental itself is a special case. Nearly every single point can be debunked easily by either common sense or someone who's played the game or seen a let's play of it. Hell, between me, the Metal Blade 5, and Manga Comment, we've essentially responded to this theory a total of 6 times, and we're not the only ones who have done it. Heck, half the freaking theory is completely destroyed by a theory that Matpat himself made later down the line. So, did he admit that he was wrong with Mario's mental? Not only did he not admit he was wrong, but every single time he brings up Mario in a video, he feels the need to mention that he's a sociopath, even if the video's not about Mario. And heck, even when it's not Matpat's video in the first place.
You're not Nintendo. Mario's a psychopath.
Do you realize how ridiculous that is? That's like if George Lucas went around and never shut up about how awesome Jar Jar Binks was. Sure, it could have just been an honest mistake, but that still doesn't change the fact that he's severely misrepresenting something. Okay, I'm going to be tackling the rest of this in order. That was just first because it's kind of separate from the other stuff.
First was Sans' Nest. a theory I was so excited to share with you. In fact, it was one of, if not my favorite episode that we had done of game theory to date, because it allowed me an opportunity to talk about one of my favorite franchises growing up, Earthbound, as well as one of my favorite modern franchises of Undertale. And it was a fun episode. Now, don't get me wrong, did I in any way think that this was canon lore to the series? No. Of course not. I didn't think that Sans is actually Ness. But at the end of the day, these are theories meant to get you to think about things from a different perspective. And let's be honest here, there are a lot of similarities between Earthbound and Undertale, okay? From visual design to actual sound effects to even the timelines of the games.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but I think the biggest part is what you just saw right there. He's using the "it's just a theory" excuse. It's just a theory, man. It doesn't matter how horrible my evidence is, how none of my points make sense. You can't criticize me for it because it's just a theory. I'm just trying to get you to think differently is all. Hearing this excuse non-stop from Matpat's fans on my original Mario's Mental video is one of the main things that sent me into a frenzy on the next video I made on him. Also, there's the whole thing of you saying, yeah, at no point did I actually think this was canon. Matpat, I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of both your fans and your haters are well aware you don't think these things are actually canon, with the exception of a few things like your Five Nights at Freddy's and Hello Neighbor theories. And then, of course, there's the part where he says that Sans' Ness is one of his favorite theories because it involves two of his favorite games of all time, Earthbound and Undertale, which, honestly, is probably one of the biggest problems with that theory. Matpat is so desperate to connect the two games together that he'll throw any evidence whatsoever at the theory, regardless of how little sense it actually makes. And don't get me wrong, the two games are pretty similar, and if you want to make a video analyzing the similarities, more power to you. But I mean, there's another thing Undertale's pretty similar to, my favorite webcomic of all time, Homestuck. Heck, the reason I started reading Homestuck in the first place is because I played Undertale. And heck, there's even a similar argument with the two that you made with the Earthbound Halloween hack, because Toby Fox actually did make some contributions to Homestuck. And you know, it is fair to say that he probably did take a lot of inspiration from it. But that's basically where it ends for me. I'm not so desperate to connect the two that I'll overlook some of the easiest and most common sense evidence imaginable, just so I can have my theory of how Sans is actually a reformed version of Lord English and that all the Temmies are just Paradox clones of Nepeta.
But the overwhelming negativity and ridicule that that video got was just crushing. It sucked, man. And don't get me wrong, I have gotten used to dealing with internet hate over the years. I've gotten through the Sonic is Slow controversy. I've had literal petitions written to remove me from the internet for slandering Mario's name by calling him a sociopath, but this one hurt.
Well, boo-hoo-hoo. How terrible that there was a large enough swath of people out there actually willing to call you out on your bullcrap. I mean, what an abhorrent idea that someone with an ego big enough to call himself the smartest show in gaming should actually be held accountable for what he says. I mean, if I were to go around calling myself the greatest video game countdown maker on the site, then obviously people would be angry. They'd say, hey, what the hell, Rabbid Luigi's way better than you. Why are you claiming that you're the best? And they would be right. Now, don't get me wrong. If people were sending Matpat death threats or doxing him, obviously I would condemn that. But that's not what's happening here. I mean, granted, it could be happening, but Matpat didn't mention any specifics, so I have no choice but to assume that none of that is happening. But even if that is going on, I'm almost positive that's not the majority of it. Most of it is people angry at you for making a terrible theory. And you did. It's one of the worst you've ever made. I can only see it being convincing to people who have never played Undertale. I mean, as much of a hardened game theory skeptic as I claim to be, I don't typically immediately realize a theory's garbage. I have to think about it for a little bit. With the Undertale one, I knew right away. In fact, I don't think I've ever realized it that quick, except for maybe Wii U is the new Virtual Boy. And you don't just have to take my word on it, there are tons of responses to this theory that you can find on YouTube. But you know, I get it, you still wanted to make a theory encompassing these two games, but there is a way that you could have gotten away with it despite your evidence being terrible. Just pull a Mario is communist. You know the video where at the end you admitted that your theory was wrong and made fun of how ridiculous the evidence was, while simultaneously pointing out that the two things being talked about in the video have a lot more similarities than most people would even think about.
The green peace sign Mario tears down, clearly it's a skull. If it was meant to be a peace sign, there would be one more green pixel at the bottom on either side to complete the round look. And while yes, Mario may be overthrowing King Koopa, he's also instating another aristocracy, this one supervised by a mentally unstable princess in pink. From the mushrooms, to his enemies, to the design of the character, to Japanese political history, it's definitely not as ridiculous as it might initially sound.
If you had just done that, people probably wouldn't have had that much of an issue with the video. But no, you didn't do that, and you're still defending the evidence in that video now. And listen, I understand, it's really hard when you've put your heart and soul into a video to find out that a ton of people hate it. But it's something that we all have to learn to deal with and move on. My shocking wake-up call was about 3 years into video making, when I made a response to you, Matpat, and your fans wouldn't stop harassing me. In fact, you know what? Let's take a look at the like to dislike ratio on the 2 videos I made about you and the one on Sans' Nest. My initial response to you, oh, would you look at that, more dislikes than likes, and it's not by a small margin either. The amount of likes is only about 2/3 of the amount of dislikes. Top 9 worst game theory videos. Okay, there are more likes than dislikes, but they're about even. Now let's look at the Sans' Nest video. Are you kidding me? Oh no, the ratio was slightly worse than usual. How terrible. Now, you might think I'm bringing this up because I'm bitter about those 2 videos getting a lot of hate. But no, I'm actually kind of glad they did because it just made me stronger in the end. I just find it ridiculous that I have to explain this to a man who's 12 years older than me, has been making videos on this site for a year longer than I have, and has managed to make it to 7 million subscribers and become a mainstay on the YouTube trending tab. Seriously, how have you not experienced this by now? Are you really in that much of a bubble? I know that sounds accusatory, but I'm actually just asking. This is baffling. Now, some of you may be expecting me to go after the part where he talks about the I gave the Pope Undertale video, but no, I actually agree with him on this. Granted, the video wasn't perfect. He makes out Undertale to have a way bigger impact on the gaming industry than it actually did. But at the same time, a lot of the stuff that people went after him for that he debunked was bullcrap. I just brought this part of the video up because I had something similarly emotionally distressing happen to me a while ago. Back in early 2016, when all the commentators were dogpiling on me, I was incredibly paranoid. You can actually see it pretty well if you look at my No More Heroes countdown. Oh boy, if the commentators weren't already going to kill me for making a No More Heroes video in 2016, they certainly are now for only putting Alice at number 9. Now, I know that for the people who are gearing up to make a video response to this are going to misinterpret it and think, oh, he hates Alice because the autarch ruined it for him. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that the emotional scenes in this fight didn't have as much of an impact on me as they did on everyone else. I was constantly searching myself on YouTube, hoping that no commentaries ended up popping up high on the search ranks. Why was this? Because I thought through them constantly vilifying me that I would lose all my credibility, become the next meta, no one would take me seriously, and any opportunities I had to become even mildly popular on YouTube would be flushed down the drain. Paranoid? I know, but it's something that I went through. So yeah, I know what it's like to have a bunch of people spreading lies about me over the internet. But here's the thing, Matpat. Unlike me, you could have put a stop to this whenever you wanted. Because you are a huge voice. All you had to do was make a video saying, hey, here are a bunch of misconceptions and lies about me and my meeting with the Pope. You didn't need to let it fester for this long. And now some people might look at me like a massive hypocrite and say, hey, wait, couldn't you have put a stop to your problem whenever you wanted? Well, I tried that with the whole Randezel video. And what happened? Things got worse. In fact, things really didn't start getting bad until I made that video. But I get it. It can be hard hard. It's a hard experience. Maybe it didn't cross your mind. Know what I can't forgive on the other hand, though? Lumping something like this in with people simply debunking a terrible video you made. And you know, maybe you're not thinking it now, but you might sometime down the line that all the negative backlash you got on the Pope video was actually a blessing in disguise, because now it gives you a license to demonize everyone who dares to criticize you, so you can get away with whatever you want. Here, let me introduce you guys to the second most popular game theorization YouTuber, Loxton. He's not perfect, but he puts far more effort into his theories than Matpat does. He just finished a massive theory, essentially predicting a reset in the Pokemon games. Now, there are a lot of problems with his evidence. I mean, you're going to have a lot of problems in a theory that's hours long, and people pointed them out. Did he throw a huge temper tantrum with emotionally manipulative music in the background and lumping in some actually terrible event in order to make you feel sorry for him so he can dodge all accountability for mistakes he made? No, he didn't. In fact, he made a video where he was debunking his own theory, pointing out some of the flaws in the evidence that he presented. Obviously, there was still plenty of good evidence for the theory to stand on its own, but even then, he was willing to point out the bad parts of it. He even makes fun of you in that video.
Either way, it's a small murky ghost, not a dolphin or an ibis or a wolf or a dragon or whatever. I'm still convinced, though.
You can't be serious. It's right there in front of you. Are you blind or something? Are you going to outline the shape of a dolphin in his clouds?
Come on, Loxton, you ain't Matpat. You can't make stretches that big and still have people believe them.
Not to mention going back to see what he got right. And the thing is, it's not like this was some random theory that people were criticizing, like it kind of is with your thing, even if you did put emotion into it. This was a theory that was hours long and had insane amounts of research, as opposed to Sans' Ness, which basically had nothing. Look, Matpat, if you're watching this, which I know is highly unlikely, but if SMG4 can find my video within a day of it being uploaded, anything is possible. You're not perfect. Your theories sometimes are good, other times are terrible. You can't just dodge accountability for when you make a terrible theory. I agree that some of the stuff people have come after you with was unjust, although to be fair, you probably should have been a bit more clear with the way you were wording things. That's kind of also what happened with me and the commentators. But point is, most of the stuff people have been coming after you for is legitimate. If you really believe in starting a discussion, then you'll also admit when you're dead wrong. I was looking forward to, and I still am looking forward to, debunking a bunch of your theories later this year and hyperbolically tearing into your online persona. But I guess I was just hoping that the man behind the mask would be a lot more respectable than what I'm seeing here.